Imagine you're walking through the bustling streets of Kampala, and you stop to buy a hot, fresh Rolex or a piece of roasted cassava. You're hungry, so you take a massive bite. Unlike plants, which can pull energy directly from sunlight, humans are heterotrophs. We have to source our energy externally by eating other plants and animals. But human cells cannot directly extract energy from those solid chunks of food. A dense piece of cassava is completely useless to your muscle tissue in its current form. It has to be systematically dismantled. This is digestion, a biological disassembly line designed to physically smash and chemically melt that solid food down into a liquid soup of microscopic nutrients. To see exactly how your food becomes your fuel, we have to follow that single bite of street food on a continuous 9-meter journey down a tube inside your body called the human alimentary canal. Our first stop is the mouth. This is where mechanical breakdown begins, relying on specialized crushers we call teeth. The shape of a tooth dictates its exact job. If you look at a strict carnivore, like a lion, their mouths feature incredibly sharp, massive canines, specifically engineered for gripping and tearing flesh. This split-screen diagram highlights the difference between our human omnivorous setup and a strict herbivore. On the left, humans have a full suite of front incisors, canines, premolars, and molars. But on the right, you'll see a goat's skull lacks upper front teeth entirely. Instead, they use a tough upper dental pad and a large gap called a diastema to separate and strip tough grass. Our human teeth are coated in hard white enamel, but they are vulnerable to the environment we create in our mouths. When you eat sugary foods, bacteria feed on the leftover particles. Those bacteria produce acidic waste, and it is that acid, not the sugar itself, that melts through the enamel and causes a cavity. Chewing that food doesn't extract the nutrients. It simply breaks the bite into smaller pieces, drastically increasing the surface area. So the next phase, chemical digestion, can actually work. As you chew, your saliva coats the food. Saliva contains a biological chemical called salivary amylase. This is an enzyme, a biological catalyst that acts like a pair of chemical scissors, specifically cutting complex starches from your cassava into sweet, simple sugars. These enzymes operate under extremely strict conditions. They demand a normal human body temperature of 37 degrees Celsius. If it gets too cold, they slow to a halt. If it gets too hot, or if the local pH level is wrong, the enzymes are completely destroyed. By the time you finally swallow, that bite of food has been mashed into a pulp and chemically primed. But the most intense phases of the disassembly line are still waiting further down the tube. Take a look at this cross-section of the esophagus. You might think gravity pulls your food down, but you could actually eat an apple while standing on your head. A muscular tube pushes the food downward using rhythmic, wave-like squeezes. We call this peristalsis. That muscular action pushes the food into the second station, the stomach. It's essentially a muscular bag that violently churns and mixes the incoming meal. Inside that bag is an extreme chemical environment. The stomach produces strong hydrochloric acid. This serves two purposes. It kills incoming germs, and it creates the highly acidic pH required for a specific stomach enzyme called pepsin to start digesting proteins. Once the stomach finishes churning, that highly acidic mixture is squeezed into the duodenum, the very first part of the small intestine. Because the intestine lacks the stomach's protective lining, that acidic danger has to be neutralized immediately. To neutralize the acid and continue the teardown, accessory organs dump their own specialized chemicals into the tract. The liver supplies bile to dissolve tough fats, while the pancreas pumps in powerful digestive juices. The food then travels into the ileum, the second part of the small intestine. Here, the final leg of chemical digestion takes place. The enzymes finish their work, reducing the solid bite of food into a simple, watery soup of basic nutrients. At this stage, the material moving through your tract is completely unrecognizable from the solid bite of cassava you started with. It is finally in a chemical state small enough to escape the digestive system, which leaves us with a final mechanical question. How does this liquid nutrient soup actually get out of the tube and into your bloodstream? This happens through a process called absorption. This diagram shows a detailed cross-section of the small intestine's inner wall, lined with millions of microscopic waving projections called villi. Because their outer skin is incredibly thin, digested nutrient molecules can rapidly diffuse straight through the barrier directly into the internal blood vessels. Whatever cannot be broken down or absorbed continues into the large intestine. No digestion happens here. The body simply reabsorbs water from the leftover waste before expelling it. For the nutrients that made it into the blood, the final phase begins: assimilation. Your bloodstream acts as a massive transport network, carrying simple molecules like glucose and amino acids to every single cell in your body. The cells pull those specific building blocks out of the blood. They burn the glucose for immediate energy, and they use the amino acids from proteins to repair damage and grow new tissue. The solid bite of food you bought on the street was systematically dismantled, pushed through a highly acidic chemical bath, absorbed across microscopic barriers, and reassembled by your cells. It literally becomes the physical energy you use to go about your day.